We will remain standing for the East African anthem.
Mungu twaomba unilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you. You may have your seats. So, good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Welcome and thank you for gracing our event today. This is a celebration, and I'd like to see it in your faces. So, at the count of 3, we are all going to smile like a 3-year-old boy during Christmas. So, 1, 2, 3. There you are. You guys look lovely from up here. Thank you for gracing our event, and thank you, Honorable Chelogui, for making the time to attend and always being there to support our initiatives. So we'll jump right into it. And of course, standing here, I will not purport to know how old we are or how old you are, but I'd like to take us back. And I'd like you to tell me if you remember this song. Yes. Let's see if you remember this song that's about to play sometime today. Almost there. I'm seeing a few smiles, so I guess we're getting it. I'm seeing a few people nodding, so I see we remember it. We remember that song? Yeah. So, I'm guessing, based on the nods and the smiles you're getting, you probably know that one. But there's one more that I'd like us to remember that's more relevant to our event this morning. And in another life, in another space somewhere, I am a worship leader. So if you know this one, I invite you to join in and sing along. Let's try the second song. You know this one? Yeah. So I'm seeing a few guys singing along, and what I'm getting is, if you know either of those two songs, you're probably old enough for this conversation. Try and reflect when you first heard that song. Where were you, and what was life like back then? And what was the agricultural space looking like back then? And you can take like a few minutes to interact, maybe 1 or 2 people next to you, and try and remember, back then, what was life like? I'm seeing a bit of interaction. It would be nice to get a few reflections from the floor. I'd like to go to, let me pick on someone, Godfrey. What do you remember from life back then? I think we have a mic. Here. Godfrey's here.
Thank you so much. The first one is actually not so nice.
Mm-hmm.
The memories that came back is waking up very early to go to school. I And I don't want to go the cliche way, but we did not have the school buses, so it was quite a trek. For the second one, takes me back to, spending days with my grandmother in her shamba, and doing all the hard work there. So, yeah, takes me back.
Awesome. Let's give Godfrey a hand for being courageous enough to be the first speaker. Can we get one more? At least one more. One confident person. Okay. Not much. Frida. I'd like to pick on Frida.
Goodness, okay. Yeah, so that takes me back, I think, to the late 70s or early 80s. So I think of VOK, Voice of Kenya, the days, those songs I think used to play just after the news, and the first news item was always about what Mtukufu Rais Daniel Arap Moi was up to in the day. Yeah, but in terms of the agricultural scene, I remember those were the days when, we'd spend the holidays in the shamba, eating gooseberries, taking the cows to the cattle dip, and passing by the local shopping center to buy mandazi for 5 cents on our way there. Yeah.
Yeah, let's give Frida a hand. Thank you very much, Frida. I think from all the reflections that we have gotten, yes, there's one, yes.
We didn't do a lot of fertilizer then. Tulikuwa tunalima tu na mahindi inachomoka hivi.
Wow.
So that tells you 40 years later, the soil has been
something has happened somewhere. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we are here today.
Yeah. Thank you. Another hand for him. So I think from all the reflections, I think from what you've exchanged in the table where you're in, I think the one thing that stands out for me is the fact that agriculture was a societal responsibility. It was not a thing that other people did. Everybody in the society was involved. But somewhere along the way, agriculture stopped being the business of the society and became the business of a farmer and the business of the government. And we know, you guys seated here, titans of the agriculture industry. You know what has become of our sector since that happened. But the truth is, and I'd like to put it to you, that if any of us walked out of this room today, the story of the agriculture sector in Kenya will not be complete. It is our belief at Yara, and something we are pushing as impacts here in Yara, that farmers play a key role in the development of our society, and even more so, the local agro-dealer, the MSMEs who serve these farmers. We consider them to be the voice, the agent of change in the society, and the representative of the work that we want to achieve and what we are doing. So, without much ado, I'd like us to get into the story of these MSMEs, and I'd like to begin where a lot of us usually like to begin from, the government. I'd like to invite our first speaker today to give her remarks, and she's joining us from the MSEA, which is the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority. I'd like to invite Karen Kyoko to come up on stage. Let's give her a hand.
Thank you, Charles. The chief guests, Honorable Simon Chelugui, the Cabinet Secretary for Cooperatives, Micro and Small Enterprise Developments, the Country Manager, Yara East Africa, William Ngeno, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First, I wish to convey the apologies of my Director General, Henry Ritha, who was supposed to be here, but was in another engagement. As I give the remarks today, we are celebrating agriculture. We are celebrating the role that Yara has played in enhancing agriculture in this country. And so together, as we look at the MSME side, we are celebrating the role that Yara has played. When we look at the MSMEs in this country, it's a major area of focus, both by the government and the private sector. And there are several reasons for this. First, the MSME sector is the main employer in this country, and actually in the world. Across the world, main employment is provided by the MSME sector. In Kenya, over 80% of our employment is in the MSME sector. When you combine that with agriculture, which is again the backbone of our economy, that tells you why we are here. Because both sectors are very critical to the growth of this country. The current administration has a plan for both sectors. And that is why in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, we have both agriculture and MSMEs as pillars by the government. And so the government is fully focused on these two sectors. And that is why there is an organization called the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority to further enhance this agenda. And who is MSEA? Micro and Small Enterprises Authority is a state corporation established by an act of parliament, the MSC Act, number 55 of 2012. And the mandate of MSEA is simple: promotion, development, and regulation of the MSC sector. Because we want the sector to be well organized so that we have impact in agriculture and in all these other sectors. Our mission is to promote development of competitive and sustainable micro and small enterprises. We want our enterprises to succeed both now and in future, to be considerate of the climate issues so that then at the long run, they are sustainable. Our GDP contribution in terms of the MSME sector is over 33%. Again, that ascertains to the importance of this sector, contributing over 33% of the GDP of the country. The value of output from the MSME sector is about 3.3 trillion per year, very substantial. And employment, it's employing over 14.5 million Kenyans. And every year it contributes to over 80% of the new jobs that are created. In Kenya, we need about 600,000 jobs every year, and most of these will be found in the MSME sector. And again, mainly in agriculture, because it's a backbone of our economy. If we are able to create 600,000 jobs every year and further formalize those jobs so that then they are not just informal jobs, but they are sustainable jobs, they are decent jobs, then we are able to take this country to the next level. And so to make sure that this happens, there are various programs that MSEA is implementing, right from capacity building, and I was talking to some of the Yara colleagues here, and we actually identified so many areas we can work together to enhance this area of capacity building for the agripreneur at the ground so that we transform the country. We also have a program on infrastructure development, as well as provision of the equipment that MSMEs require. Because as we go to the farms, as we use the Yara fertilizer, as we get the good yields, we want to value add these products so that the farmer gets the maximum benefits from the same. And so we have an infrastructure development program that is looking at the workspaces that the farmers can use, that the MSMEs can use to add value to the products that are produced from the farms. We have a program on market linkages because other than the subsistence production, we want a farmer to look at his business or her business as his farm as a business. And so market linkages is a critical component that MSEA is bringing on board so that we link these farmers to the market, both locally and in the ESC region, and further link them to the international markets that our president has been so keen on developing. We have issues of financial linkages. One of the main challenges that MSMEs face both farmers and all these other sectors in the MSME sector, is the issue of access to affordable credit. And so the government has put in place several measures to address this, and one of them is the recently launched Hustler Fund, which is coming in to provide both accessible and affordable credit. At MSEA, we go a step further to link the entrepreneurs that we work with the open market credit system, so that then they are able to access bigger loans beyond the Hustler Fund. Once they have grown to a certain level through the Hustler Fund, that they can still access bigger loans from the open credit markets. And in line with that, we have projects that are coming up that MSEA will be part of the implementation. We have two main projects. The Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project that ended in August will be scaled up in the name of National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement, NYOTA, that will target at least 800,000 youth to be given business skills, BDS, as well as startup capital, so that they can use the business knowledge they'll have gained to start an enterprise and grow this country. Then we have a second project called the Kenya Jobs and Economic Transformation, KJET, that will be looking at clusters, MSME clusters, to move them from the current level to the next level. How? By giving them BDS, both generalized and specialized BDS, as well as co-investment with the private sector into the programs, into the tools, into the machines that they require to enhance their productivity. Here we are looking at clusters. The clusters could be MSME associations or cooperatives. And so once we build these clusters, they have the necessary business skills and they are able to aggregate their products, and we are providing markets. We'll have provided the tools that they require and the machines they require to value add, take them to the market. This country will be able to move to the next level. And so together with Yara, we'll be working to enhance the program that they already have, the leadership program, so that we produce many more entrepreneurs than even what we are targeting in these two projects and beyond what we are targeting at MSEA. So thank you for this. We believe it's a partnership that has begun and will be yielding good results. Thank you.
Yeah, let's try that again. Let's give her a bigger hand. Thank you so much, Caroline, for your remarks. I'd like to recognize some very special people who are also joining us online. So if you're following this program from any of our social platforms or from the Yara Africa Asia LinkedIn, feel very welcome, and we acknowledge your presence. I'd like us to go into a short discussion, and we are targeting MSMEs for this program, and they play a critical role. So I'd like us to hear from a few voices on what Yara is doing to empower MSMEs in the local markets and how the effect that this program is having. So I'd like to call to our panel this morning Martin Mwoki. Martin Mwoki is a graduate of the first cohort of the Yara Leadership Academy. That's why you clap. Thank you, Martin. You can have seat number 1 here. The next person I'd like to invite is, of course, Caroline Kioko, back on stage. Caroline serves as the Acting Director, Business Development, Marketing and Trade at the MSEA. Yes. Thank you. And I'd like to invite a special friend of ours, Dr. Winnie Nganga, who's the Director, Public Affairs and Government Relations at Yara. Okay. So, karibuni sana. Let's talk. I'd like to start with you, Martin. Of course, we know you're an MSME and you're an agro dealer. Maybe first thing we can do is do a quick check for our sound. Yes, hi, Winnie.
Hi.
Can you hear Winnie?
Can you hear me?
Awesome. Carly?
Hi.
Awesome. Martin, you're good?
Hi.
Awesome. Martin is finally with us. So we'd like to start with you. We know you're an agro dealer. Perhaps you would like to tell us about the story of how you got into business. Yeah.
I'm Martin Mwoki. I do agrovet in Mboni. I actually have 4 outlets within Mboni. My journey started in, I'll call it a funny way. Initially I was employed, and then in an agrochemical company, we were doing the work of advising farmers on how to farm. Then during my career, I realized that the people in my home are not getting the right knowledge. Then I opted to start helping them. Then in that line, I started kind of trying to advise farmers in the region. All of a sudden, I found it that I have to provide products to them, the ones which I'm giving solution to them. That made me start the business of the agrovet. Actually, I remember I tried to apply a loan, but then I had a debt with the help. So I had, all the loan went with the help. So I remained with very little to start the business. Na nikaanza. I got a premise, and then I was kind of every month contributing like 5,000 to the business. You buy stock of 5,000, next month you buy stock of 5,000. Then the business started. Though it was hard, salary of the servant was from the pay slip, rent was from the pay slip. It was a challenge. I actually tried to get a loan from the bank, and what they were asking of was collateral. I didn't have any security. My parents actually, the shamba they had was the inheritance one, actually in a title, so nothing could be done. So I was kind of confused. So while working, I got to a point whereby I met Yara. My God came through Yara. They identified me and gave me credit. They trusted me and gave me credit for fertilizer so that I can reach as many more as I could reach many more farmers. Actually, they did a miracle to me, and through the miracle, I also reached farmers. I think it transformed the region to a producing region. I remember, I would say part of it, I introduced the microp range, these blends of fertilizers, because I felt it that the soils were not in good condition, and because of that, the farmers were not harvesting as much as they could. So during that time, Yara introduced the microp range, the blend, which had calcium and other products, which I felt would work very well for the farmers. And those who used it, the crops did wow. And that gave me a good name, and that made me grow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your inspiring story, Martin. Caroline, I'd like to come to you now. And we've just heard from Martin about the kind of experience he's had trying to grow his business amidst the challenges that he was facing. I know you've touched on it in your presentation, but maybe you'd like to double down and talk about the work that MSEA is doing to empower MSMEs like Martin and many others have an enabling environment for their growth. Yeah.
Thank you, Charles. Martin, your story is interesting. And let me start from the challenges that you faced, especially of financing. You've talked of trying to get a loan and help taking away part of the loan because maybe you had not paid help. So that gives us the challenge of access to finance, which I had actually talked about. It's a main challenge across the globe for MSMEs because most financial institutions consider them unbankable because of the risks that come with MSMEs and small businesses for that matter. So what are we doing at MSEA? I mentioned the issue of financial linkages. We link these MSMEs to financiers, but at the point of beginning, very few financiers would actually take up that risk. And that is why the government is rolling out the credit guarantee scheme so that the risk that would be passed on to the farmer in terms of either collateral or even a higher interest rate is then taken up by the government so that that MSC can be able to access a loan. So that is one area that the government is generally focusing on to make sure that access to credit is enhanced. Then there are all these other catalytic funds that the government has put in place. Right from the Hustler Fund, I mentioned that. There is the Youth Fund, there is Women Fund, and the Uwezo Fund. Youth are able to access all of them actually. I'm not sure if Martin is in the category of youth, but in case he is not, then there is the Hustler Fund that is available to everyone and that he can access. There is a fund that is not so well known, but it exists. At the Kenya Industrial Estates, they fund entrepreneurs, and they fund entrepreneurs but with a collateral for purposes of value addition. At MSEA, we may not have a fund, but we link you to all these other funds. But in addition to funding, sometimes funding in itself may not be the only challenge. The challenge could even be accessing a market. After you've produced your products, then what? If there is no market, there is no business. And so at MSEA, we will handhold you to the market point until you sell your products. We will link you until you grow from that small enterprise to be able to get to the export business and hand you over to Keproba. We'll then work with you all the way to the export market. For farmers, there is an issue of post-harvest losses that has been very rampant, and especially in the horticulture sector, where the products are have a very short shelf life, and if not well preserved, then they're bound to go bad. And so at MSEA, we are constructing cold storage facilities so that farmers can be able to store their products there. And by storing their products there, they are able to determine their prices because when there's a glut, they will not be forced to take their products to the market simply because they are ready, but they will have a storage to put them and wait for the right time to sell. And so currently we have 3 cold storage facilities, one in Meru, one in Nyandarua, and another one in Kisii. We're looking to expand that so that all farmers are able to curb the post-harvest losses. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Caroline. Following that up, Dr. Winnie, I'm aware that we work very closely with MSMEs as Yara, and there's a lot of opportunities for us to partner and work together. But what beyond that is Yara doing to also ensure that the environment in which they operate in helps push them towards growth? Yeah.
Thank you, Charles. Can you hear me? All right. So I'll have a chorus. I'll be saying, if you don't believe me, ask Martin.
Let's try that. If you don't believe me? Okay, they're ready.
That will be my chorus in my explanations. So anyway, as a private sector and as Yara, first things first, of course, we've been able to provide access to inputs. And by inputs, we mean fertilizer and also supporting with the other elements on seed and other inputs. But basically, because we're a fertilizer company, we have been supporting to ensure access to fertilizer. He talked about MyCrop, and what we did with MyCrop was fantastic. I said, ask Martin. It was fantastic because it was a blend that was customized, it was crop specific, and it was really for the customized and a blended solution for the farmers. So with MyCrop, we've been able to ensure that there has been really significant increase in yield, and also we are talking about wealth creation. We are no longer talking about agriculture being subsistence farming. We are talking about building wealth for our agribusiness, and how we can enable that is by providing the right inputs, by providing a multi-nutrient crop-specific fertilizer. The other element of support we've been able to do is financial support. Again, ask Martin if you don't believe me, that we have been able to provide credit facilities, real time providing discounts, and providing a commercially favorable environment for them to for agribusiness to thrive. And we continue to do that with many other Martins. In terms of our other private sector enabling element is that we must work with government, because government is government. Without working with government, then we are not really moving the needle to large scale. So what we do with government is ensure that the right policies, the right rules and regulations are put in place to really enable business to thrive in Kenya. So it's about ensuring that if it's a fertilizer policies, are they adequate, are they right, are they crop specific, are they really talking to what the farmer needs and what the business needs for it to thrive. So that element of advocacy and policy is really key for enabling business to thrive. Lastly, as we know, Yara is a century-old fertilizer producing company. That means we have a lot of extensive knowledge. What do we do with this knowledge? We ensure that we pass it down, and we ensure that even the farmers, the agribusiness, the agro dealers are really having the knowledge they need in terms of good agricultural practices. And this is done through, one, there are knowledge centers that reach the farmers, and also there's the YLA, which we will continue to discuss and further the conversation on, but that has also been specifically geared towards the MSMEs and building them up in order to have business to thrive. If you don't believe me, ask Martin.
Thank you, Dr. Winnie. We can give Dr. Winnie a hand. So I think you've touched on the programs such as the Yara Leadership Academy, providing capacity building for agribusinesses like Martin. And I think it would be important for us to listen to Martin's story himself. I know you joined the first cohort, you're part of the first 500 who graduated last year. So in a practical sense, how did the Yara Leadership Academy really help you grow your business?
Thank you so much. It was a good educative system, open, with it was more of practicals, which has helped me grow my business. It has also helped me lay specific, measurable targets which are achievable. And then I would like to touch on two things. One is a demo I did, and then on the business side. On the business side, we got a challenge from the academy that we should be marketing our business. Then I opted to get to expand my consultation to a system of teaching farmers. Now, as an informed farmer will do well in farming, so I opted to go to that. I did, I think, several field days of farmers in conjunction with the county government, which have been successful. Then back to my demo. When we were learning, I was doing it with my wife, the learning. We were taking notes, and then we decided every step to start a project, which was to work. Actually, we started a project of chicken, a small one. We gave ourselves a period of 1 year that it should be realistic. We built a house of chicken. We started bringing out the chicken. And then we worked on kind of breeding to reach to the farmers. Okay, there was a specific variety from Kukuchika, which was a Kienyeji hybrid, which was working. And then we had an issue of farmers whereby they were rearing their chicken for like 2 years to be able to eat it. Then we developed that. We were able to supply to the farmers now that hybrid chicken from Kukuchik. The project, in 6 months, we were able to produce like, I had like 50 hens. Then I was able to produce like 30 chicks a day. That is doing the local brooding. You get the kienyeji hen, which has the ability to brood. You get eggs and put it there. While doing it there, you get like 30 chicks. Farmers come there, I want these chicks. You sell to them in that you're growing. We are getting to a state of thinking of brooding, in increasing that natural brooding of that, the very indigenous chicken, in increasing the number from 50 to 100. We've already started. Now that is phase 2 of the project, which is it's a bit lucrative, and I'm enjoying, and the cost is very low. Thank you.
And how much would you say the knowledge from the academy has helped you to be able to scale up that business?
There are two perspectives. One is the agrovet. I think it has helped me grow the business by around 60-50% through the knowledge of management of records, through management of access to suppliers, management of even the suppliers, plus the payments. So I think that has contributed to almost a 50% growth. On the other aspect, I would give it 100% because it was not there.
Wow. Yeah, yes, you can give him a hand. Dr. Martin's story is, I know, 1 out of 500. So there are probably 499 other stories out there of people whose lives have been transformed through this program. We're hearing from him. He's no longer just an agrovet. He's now a community leader. And the question I want to ask is, we all know the true effect of impact is felt when it is done at scale. So, and I mean, we acknowledge the fact that we've grown from 500 to 1,000 this year, but what is keeping us from doing it for the whole universe of agro dealers we work with?
All right. It's a good question, Charles. And maybe I also rephrase it in the sense of what is the role of agriculture sector to us. So we normally say that the agriculture sector is expected to feed 9.7 billion by 2050. If we are talking about billions, I mean, everything we do must be big. We must do everything at impact, at scale, for this to have an effect, and for us to realize that vision of feeding that big population globally. So for us, we started off with 500 in 2023. We are fully funded by Yara. We've moved to 1,000 in 2024. I think you've really had the good, this is 1 out of 500, as Charles has said, and the impact has been quite significant because agro dealers are also accessing a large number of farmers. So it means it's trickling down to the farmers, and the impact is way bigger than even what Martin is talking about. So currently that's the reason Yara has taken an approach to actually double 100% from 2023 to 2024. But the reality is that we are talking about by 2030 we'll have probably in Kenya and Tanzania combined around 11,000 agro dealers. And just to take you back, that YLA is also being done in Tanzania. And the numbers we are looking at are 11,000. And we are talking about now having
11,000 for 2030.
For 2030, yes. We are looking big, and we are also talking long term in terms of 2030, where we want to be and where we want to go. But we can only go that far by, of course, getting more partners. This is more like a partnership pitch. Please, if you're here in the room. Yeah, so we want to grow big, we want to go large scale, and we want to get partners in terms of funding, partners like MSEA with government. They're doing an excellent job. We want to partner with them so that we really upscale it, and then the impact will be felt at large scale. So basically looking at funding partners, government, and also investing together in the skills that we are gaining. And not only just this one academy, but how we can also move it to the next level. I had a conversation with Martin earlier, and he was asking me, we've done the diploma, can I now move to degree or the next level? So the ask is already there from the alumni, And the ask is already there from those who have not yet been benefited from this. So for us, it's about partnerships and how we can build that relationship and build their success together.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen to that. The target, I guess we're talking about 11,000 plus Martins by 2030. Yes. That's our target. I'd like to quote you as I go to Caroline. There's something Dr. Willie said that we have to work with government because government is government. Caroline, how can we make use of PPPs to ensure more Martins are able to be produced and grown in the MSME ecosystem?
Yeah, thank you. And I'm already glad that Winnie is identifying MCI as one of the partners. And yes, rightly so. There are so many ways that the government is already working with the private sector to scale up the impact. Because like you've asked, why not do it for the entire country? Why not do it for so many other Martins? It's true, if we work together, there are so many areas of synergy. PPPs can be both in what you've done for Martin plus more. I'm looking at the areas that MSA is already working on and looking at the PPPs that we can have in those areas. In addition to enabling Martin produce at the farm level by giving him the inputs and all that, we can move him a step further to process his produce so that he has a better market return from his farm. So when it comes to infrastructure, it's an area that would be welcome for PPP. Capacity building that you're already doing in the Yara Leadership Academy. It's an area that MSA is already working on, and we can actually partner in that area to enhance our reach and your reach, so that then we create more Martins in this country and create an impact, a bigger impact for that matter. And so capacity building becomes one of the key areas. Then market access. As we take the entrepreneurs to the market, there's a cost that they incur on their part. And so if partnership can be established such that Yara can be able to support some of their farmers, for example, to exhibit their products in some of these trade fairs that we hold, and especially at the regional level. We have a trade fair called the East African MSME Trade Fair that exposes farmers to the entire East African region. And here we're talking of a big market. Remember, we've brought in DRC and recently Somalia to the ESC. And so it's a very big market, it's a huge market. This year we'll be in Juba, Sudan. That's a very big untapped market. If a farmer can get there and establish a market there, we all know South Sudan and the little that they produce. And so it's a huge market. If we can have a partnership and Yara supports some of its farmers to be able to access that market, that's a win-win for the farmer and for Yara. Because as the farmer increases their acreage, Yara sells more of their fertilizer, right? So it's a win-win, whichever way you look at it. Then the area of digitizing the approach of the farmer in terms of doing their business. Most farmers, and especially at the MSME level, are not digital savvy, and so they miss out on the e-commerce platforms that are there. And so if we can have a partnership in terms of investing in making the farmers and the MSMEs digital savvy, so that then they leverage on the digital space to get more markets and to even learn new things. I'm glad that I was told the Academy delivers its content digitally. That's already a plus. So if we can partner, we can enhance that. We can create more Martins and make sure that they're all digital savvy. Then policy development is a consultative process. And so there are policies that may require changes, enhancements. And so partnership at the working level would then bring all these partners on the table when it comes to policy reviews, when it comes to policy proposals, so that then the policies are sensitive to the needs of the user. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. When you mentioned digitization, there are a few colleagues of mine who are just nodding their head because it's also something we are very passionate about. I know we are out of time for this conversation, but I'd like to give a minute each for one round of final comments from you, starting from you, Martin.
First, I'd like to thank Yara for choosing me. It's not by chance. I take it to be God-driven. Number two, it's a thinking which has come across in my mind. If you could have a show of technologies and sciences, because it's from there farmers learn and see on how to improve their farming, rather their business, and it's from that the youth and other people see opportunity and technology to grow, from which they start business. Otherwise, I'd like to thank you all and say thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Martin.
The agro-dealers and farmers.
Thank you, Martin. Caroline, 1 minute.
Mine is to again thank Yara for having this conversation. It's a conversation that should continue because as these agri-dealers go on with their business, when they get a chance to meet, they are able to learn from each other. And by learning from each other, they get to improve their businesses. When you bring government on the table, then we are able to synergize the areas of working, and then together we achieve more. So thank you. We hope it's a working engagement that will continue.
Thank you very much. Daktari.
Yeah, mine is also to start by thanking my employer, Yara, for taking this big, bold step and actually starting something alone in terms of the Yara Leadership Academy, seeing the impact and also going at it again alone and seeing that it's going to, because the impact is already big, and seeing how we can continue to grow this. So for me, it's also just to call out on a partnership level, how we can work with government, how we can work with other private sector players, how we can work with even development agencies to just scale it up to the level that it will grow maybe by 2030, 11,000 agro-dealers by 2030.
11,000 Martins by
Martins.
2030.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. A big hand to our excellent panel. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, so where I'm from, when a young man wants to get married, he goes and calls a few elders, and they start the journey from wherever they come from to the girl's home to go ask for the hand in marriage. During that journey, they call that young man the owner of the journey. I'd like to call the owner of this journey that we are on, the head of impact programming for Africa here in Yara, Carol Mumo. That's where you give her a hand.
The Honorable CS, our partners, friends from the media, youth champions, YLA alumni present here, Martin, and dear colleagues, good morning. I'm very pleased to be here with you today, celebrating a few special highlights regarding our impact journey at Yara. These heartwarming updates are a testament to our deep commitment to foster growth and prosperity within the communities that we serve. We brought our impact journey to life in 2022, as you have heard, by launching the Yara Leadership Academy. The Yara Leadership Academy program is a 15-week intensive and immersive MBA-style course run on a dynamic digital platform offering a comprehensive understanding of business and leadership principles while covering business management, agronomic knowledge, and fostering regenerative agricultural practices. This program serves as an all-encompassing solution to bridge two major gaps in Kenya's agribusiness and mainstream agricultural sector today, which are the lack of skills needed to manage and grow businesses and a diminished access to extension services. During the first cohort of the Yara Leadership Academy, as you've heard, we provided an online self-paced training session to approximately 500 agro-dealers. These were business owners and operators in Kenya agriculture sector. We are particularly proud to report that the first cohort boasted a 44% participation by women and 40% in youth. This demonstrates our recognition to the critical role of women and youth that they play in the agriculture sector, bringing to life Yara's commitment to inclusivity and diversity in the sector. An integral part of our program is one-on-one mentorship availed to each agribusiness owner. Each participant was paired with an experienced mentor who guided them through the Yara Leadership Academy training and beyond, offering easy access to technology, technological, and even emotional support. We diligently monitor, measure, and transparently communicate the impact of the Yara Leadership Academy. For example, an assessment of the YLA cohort of Cohort 1 participants 1 year after graduation indicated improvement of financial practices after graduation indicated improved financial management practices, as Martin mentioned. They were able to secure loans and they were able to plan for their future. Their capability of also drawing business plans was highly, we could see the increase in business planning. The leap in financial literacy is an eliciting proof point to our program success. Additionally, we saw improvements in business turnover, digital marketing, and job creation, among others. Our belief is that the seamless and quality implementation of the Yara Leadership Academy is an ongoing process that may require ad hoc interaction, and as such, we value and prioritize continuous feedback and improvement. I now wish to acknowledge our pioneering class of 500 alumni who participated in the first cohort. Their zeal and fervor was nothing short of their strong determination to grow their businesses, as we have seen. I also want to take the opportunity to thank our partners, Equity Bank Foundation, for providing continued support for the 500 alumni for the 6 sessions on financial literacy. We indeed have received positive feedback that speaks to the beneficial ground level impact on the training. The Yara Leadership Academy Cohort 2 that we are launching today will see 1,000 agro-dealers trained and capacities built. I'm particularly excited about this cohort as it's made up of a diverse and representative stakeholder groups who are invaluable to our country's agribusiness ecosystem. These include agro-dealers, lead farmers, cooperative societies, and FSCs from our partner FTMA. Our commitment as Yara continues is that we will continue to direct our investments and resources into prosperity of the agriculture sector by building resilience and of empowering agro-dealers and farmers. To our valued partners, we are deeply grateful for your support and belief in this initiative. Your commitment to fostering entrepreneurship and sustainable development is truly remarkable. Together, we are building a foundation upon which these leaders can stand tall and create lasting impact as we strive to create positive change in the agricultural ecosystem. I would especially like to thank our colleagues from AgMac and Unifiers, with whom we have rigorously co-designed and created this program. Thank you for your patience. In closing, I would like to leave you with a thought. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Today marks the beginning of an incredible, beautiful journey. Let us walk this path with courage, resilience, and a shared vision of prosperity and sustainability. Thank you, and let us look forward to the remarkable achievements that lie ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Carol, and thank you for your continued support for the MSME sector in Kenya. There's someone who's very special in this audience I'd like us to recognize, and that is Joel. Joel is what we call a Form 1. He's part of the 1,000 whose program we are launching today. You can rise and wave, and let's give him a hand. Thank you very much. I'd like to now invite the country manager, Yara East Africa, and the person who works very closely with the agro-dealers here in Kenya to help promote their business. Karibu, William.
Honorable Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Cooperatives and MSMEs, Simon Chelugui, all dignitaries here today. I can see our partners, very glad to have you here today, our customers, fellow colleagues, good morning. Good morning. Mine will be very short, and I call it a momentous time, because 1 year ago we were in Mombasa, and we had the privilege of having also Honorable CS to graduate 500 of our customers. We set the ambition higher to 1,000. So it gives me joy that we are growing. You know, when you are growing, it's good. It means things are going in the right direction. If you are shrinking, we would be scared. We will not be here today. So I'm happy. And Honorable CS, your sector is thriving, and that's why we have 1,000 already interested. We received a lot of applicants. I think it's only that we had to filter, but we are already reaching out to other partners to see how we can even make it better. I'm happy with the conversations that was happening today here with them, sir. Our global ambition, we set back in 2021 at Yara and said we want to drive a nature-positive food future. Coming on the backdrop of our Norwegian heritage. For those who don't know, the Norwegian government is a big shareholder in our company. We believe in the values of trust. So our presence in Kenya involves around inclusive business development. The farmer is at the center of what we do. And that's why you will find that everything, the programs, our portfolio is touching millions of farmers here. Our fertilizer in Kenya contributes to feeding 10 million Kenyans. If we look at the challenges that are existing now with climate change, we are working on solutions that bring resilience to the farmers. Because if times have changed, 90% of our crop production is rain-fed. 63% of our soils is acidic. So the farmers are dealing with a lot of challenges. They need knowledge. That's how our business is built on, to deliver knowledge to the farmers. But how can that knowledge reach the farmer? Because there are more than 7 million farmers in Kenya. The best bet is to go through MSMEs, because MSMEs have an interest to be able to reach the farmer and make the farmer successful so that their business in the rural economies can thrive. And that is the backbone of the Yara Leadership Academy. The Martins of Kenya will be able to empower the local communities. And no one else can say, as Winnie said here, ask Martin if you don't believe me. He has seen the transformation he needs society himself, because by empowering the community around him with knowledge, the farmers are able to feed not only that region, but also feed the country. Our main tenets to our ambition is targeting to become climate neutral by 2050, to support farmers with regenerative agricultural practices, and of course advance prosperity for 50 million farmers by 2030. Those are the pillars for our ambition. If I break it down locally to Kenya, on the portfolio side, a lot has been spoken about microp. We have demonstrated that if you use crop-specific, soil-friendly fertilizer package, you can change the yields. And I'm glad that we have been really working closely with the government since last year, and there was transformation. There was a record yield, close to 70 million bags of maize, record history. And we can see the direction. And thank you, CS, because under the leadership of our president, fertilizer has been highlighted as the driver to drive the cost of living. So we are happy and proud that we can be part of that journey, make a contribution towards achieving that dream of food security and lowering cost of living. Soil health remains to be a key agenda because our soils are acidic. 20% of our country is only arable. So the rest 80% we have to do other things. But the 20% which is arable, we can feed the country, we can export much more, and we can be leaders and feed Africa. So soil health is something that is key to us. We have programs now and knowledge around how we can even improve productivity apart from the portfolio, the fertilizer package. Things like liming, knowledge on how to restore soils and make it more productive. Key one is the last mile availability of inputs. That has been a challenge. But through MSMEs that we work with, we have more than 6,500 stockists, agrovests that we have in our digital platform. We reach out to them anytime to be able to pass the knowledge to farmers. This is a big opportunity. I know in Kenya there are more than 10,000 agrovests. So there's a big opportunity that we can work and digitize this to provide railroads to the village communities so that we have product, we have knowledge, we have donor support, everything going into the rural economies, because the word today is bottom up. Build the economy bottom up. So we need those railroads, and MSMEs can give us those railroads. Training is very important, because even in the recent past you've seen what has been happening the last 2 months. To understand even the value of fertilizer, to know what is the right fertilizer, there has been discussion about, or maybe it's quality. So that is something that is core to us. We commit to continue to providing knowledge so that farmers can make the best decisions on how to get quality and affordable fertilizer. On the Leadership Academy, I think my colleagues have done justice and explained a little bit around it, but I wanted to say that the retail channel is a key pillar to the economy. Madam Kyoko and Carol spoke about it in depth, and the panel also discussed about it. I wanted to reinforce that it is our best bet to work with MSMEs. And I know, CS, this is passionate to you. And if we combine this together with the cooperative movement, the transformation can be inevitable. This year, we have taken also and considered cooperative leaders to join our program. I'm sure they are, and they will be exposed to this, because most of them, apart from being technical, they need to get the business skills so that they can convert the technical skills and into business skills and be able to prosper in their economies. So including the cooperative, some of the leadership will bring some changes. We can also see how this can be a catalyst to the farming practices. I know there's a lot of issues, simple things like deforestation, liming, and soil restoration, environmental stewardship. These are really things that are core to us. These are really important in our day-to-day activities at Yara. And it's our commitment that we do a responsible business. We're looking at a continuous, sustainable, inclusive business model. So Kenya is a very good example for us in Africa, of course, leading the way in a lot of innovations. And I'm sure together with the partnerships that we will generate, that we have, and the new ones that we are going after, it will even transform and improve on the economic side of things. Finally, is to appreciate all of you being here today. We don't take it for granted. You had other schedules, but you've joined us today so that we can kickstart the process for Cohort 2, looking at how the next 1,000 MSMEs can be empowered to bring change in the society. The journey ahead can only be positive, and it will bring a lot of change. We trust on that. With those few remarks, I continue to thank all of you, the providers of this academy, the investors, the partners that we have. And now, most importantly, with your permission, our chief guest, the Honorable Cabinet Secretary for Cooperatives and MSMEs. We are ready to listen to you. We are eager to listen to you and have government word on this. Please, it gives me pleasure to welcome you today. Please, a round of applause for our Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you very much, the country manager, distinguished participants in this very important academy and discussion this morning, members of the Yara Academy, Leadership Academy, the training faculty, enrolled trainees, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Hamjambo. You sound very low. Chai, did you give them tea, Mr.? Can we break for tea first? Muko? Asante. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also very excited to preside over this second graduation of the second cohort, having done so in Mombasa last year. I'm excited because it complements the job that I do. I have two kind of jobs. One is to aggregate the cooperatives, those in production, in housing, workers coming together, pooling their small savings into a financial circle. I also pull together farmers, coffee, dairy, tea, and fish and the rest in the farming sector. I also support those in housing. They have land banks. They want to put up structures and buildings, put them together, match them with developers, and convert land to developed houses. So that is one side. And specifically there is the agriculture, the production and farming. In the agriculture sector, majority of our farmers are small scale, and they cannot make meaningful impact if they operate that way. So my job as under the Ministry of Cooperatives is to put them together. We've had a discussion this morning on revival of some of our landmark institutions like KFA, which used to offer farmers the last mile delivery of farm inputs, quality, affordable farm inputs. When you talk of coffee, we are known as a world producer of quality coffee. But when our cooperatives collapsed, our production dropped from where we were, 150,000 metric tons, to almost 25,000 metric tons. I'm happy to report that in the last 2 years, I've been able to push this production to now, we are approaching 60,000 metric tons. I did this through farm input subsidy and fertilizer. Yara supported us a lot in delivery of this increasing this production. We also did cherry advance, which we began this year. And we have a number of reforms, including at the marketing level and even our external markets, sourcing for markets. And we are bringing back Coffee Research Foundation in the new coffee bill, and we are bringing back Coffee Board of Kenya to market for us our coffee. So the cooperative model helps to deliver affordable quality seeds and fertilizers and farm inputs. So this discussion this morning fits very well to that government plan to promote specific value chains. We're talking about fish, we're talking about coffee, tea, rice, maize, for our food security. We're talking about edible oils, artisanal mining. All these value chains have been identified as bottom-up priorities. So the discussion this morning fits very well, and government will will finance and support these sectors so that we make them a reality. So this cohort that we are graduating today will help in delivery of that government priority. And therefore, I'm happy to preside over this event today so that we work together the journey. If we had to push our production of dairy from the current 1.5 million liters processed per day to almost 4.5 million liters per day, we cannot do it alone as government. We need cohorts, SMEs, people in the sector, people in the industry to support us. So that is one side of my job. The other side of my job has actually been defined by Madam Kyoko, to aggregate businesses, support them to access markets, and also organize for affordable, accessible credit. She has already told you about the initiatives we are pushing as government. The Hustler Fund, which is a single-digit fund. It's a fund that is supposed to correct market failure. We have also other initiatives like Nyota, KJet, Safer, and even 4UC, which is a German-funded project to support, again, MSMEs. So these projects are meant to enable, because we understand MSMEs lack the basics, eligibility requirements of a commercial bank. Banks require security, they require collateral, they require business proposals, history, bank statements, which are not there with MSMEs. So this journey, much as it's specific to farm inputs, complements what we are doing at the global level as far as the Ministry of Cooperatives and MSME is concerned. So I'm very happy. I also want to take this opportunity to thank Yara and other farm inputs, those in the farming sector. Last year, as a government, we recorded over 60,000 bags of maize, 60 million bags of maize. Nationally, we need, I think, 62 million bags. So, ideally, we were able, you didn't hear of any complaints of ugali and those demos that were there early last year were completely sorted. I think the way to run government is to feed the people, and that many people are not ambitious. Once they are happy, they are fed and they are happy. They will not bother with many things. So we've known something, that we just need to provide food, the rest will sort themselves. So thank you, Yara, for removing those who are in the streets, helping us to sort those who are demonstrating. We've seen other demonstrations, but they are not as vigorous and aggressive like those ones of last year. So we will want to continue in this journey as government so that we assure our people of adequate food security. And that way we begin to focus on other areas. This week we had a big conference on African Development Bank, AGM, and we had a number of heads of state, and I was privileged to escort the president of Rwanda. And he told me they sorted matters of food 20 years ago. They know they don't have this shortage. They have enough food in their country. They're focusing elsewhere on some things. And once we organize the country, government role number one is to facilitate. Once we gain, people have gained a certain culture, momentum, and certain practice, government will quietly retreat and those involved will take over and run. So ours is to incentivize the sector. Ours is to support this arrangement, because we have seen with the right fertilizer, we have the right yield and we sort ourselves. So we will not need to pilot anymore or do any other research, because it's clear from numbers, and those numbers don't lie. So we wish you well and thank you so much for that support. I'll be looking forward to a bigger partnerships in dealing with the other value chains, because time is running out. We need to look at other value chains apart from coffee, maize, wheat, barley, rice. We're talking about emerging crops, the superfoods, the blueberries, macadamia, avocado, all that. We also, the dairy sector, our biggest challenge is cost of feeding. We need Napier grass, we need the fodder to be grown and grown well. So we don't have the oil seed cakes through cotton production and the rest. So if we had to push all this to run, we need to consider and look at the farm inputs seriously. So I wish to extend and express my sincere appreciation for the kind of invitation you have extended to me to officiate over this important launch of your annual training program. I also note that this is the second cohort of the Yara Leadership Academy's online training in Kenya. From the information I've gathered, I note with appreciation the important role that Yara has played in East Africa and Kenya, and specifically in the agricultural sector since establishing its presence in Kenya in 1995. Yara's vision of the world without hunger and a planet respected is a noble one, and I hope that your efforts will move you closer to its reality. Yara's contribution to the local fertilizer sector, its products of NPK, Volia, and top dressing and blended fertilizers have made tangible contribution to productivity and growth of agricultural output in the country. It is also notable that Yara has continued to research and come up with smart farming solutions to deepen productivity and widen its reach and target clientele. The current training is clearly a highly appropriate and relevant one, in that it is utilizing the highly networked citizens space. Kenyans have fully embraced digital technology from the top to the grassroots levels. A case in point is how the November 2022 to date, we've been able to roll out the Financial Inclusion Fund over 22 million Kenyans, with over 19 million Kenyans borrowing. The borrowers have already uptaken over 52 billion shillings, and all this has been done through online platforms. Kenya is a highly literate society in terms of digital technology, and is more than ready to embrace new products, upskilling, retooling, and training other transformative opportunities. The current program of Yara, which seeks to promote youth and women-led agribusiness MSMEs, is a very welcome initiative. It is noted that the training focuses on business lines such as small stockists, distributors, and retailers in an effort to build their skills to run profitable business by equipping them with best practices in crop nutrition, farm management, marketing of products, advertisement, digital molds, and sales strategies, among others. It is noted further that through this training, you are creating a community of peer learner MSMEs in the agribusiness space who will operate within a supportive ecosystem, and this is transformative. Your effort to double the 2024 intake to 1,000 as compared to last year's pioneer group of 500 is commendable. It speaks to your commitment to expand the reach of the program, and it also speaks to the interest that the program has generated in this sector. It must have made valuable contribution to their businesses, and in this regard, I urge you to continue to work with MSMEs to identify the real challenges facing them and workable solutions to uplift the sector. It is only in this way that your program will remain sustainably relevant and attractive to our large MSME sector, not only in Kenya, but across the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, my ministry through the State Department of MSMEs and our various agencies provided support to the MSMEs. As earlier indicated, we have made effort to address one of the major bottlenecks facing the sector, namely credit access. The Financial Inclusion Fund, WESO Fund, the Kenya Industry Estates, and other catalytic funds like the Women and Youth Funds have provided seed and working capital funds to many MSMEs. In the process, helping them to grow and become credit-worthy and eligible to get more funding from mainstream financial institutions. An important issue that Yara could take forward is to work with borrowers of government-subsidized loans to build their capacity so that they can effectively utilize and increase their benefits from such resources, rather than wasting the opportunities due to lack of business skills. The other challenges we have tried to address include what this program is trying to address, namely capacity building and skills development. As a ministry, we are working hard to deepen our response to both financial and capacity building needs of the sector. We are in the process of rolling out the Kenya Jobs and Economic Transformation Project, KJET, and NYOTA projects, both under the World Bank funding. We are also in the process of domesticating a highly successful Small Business Development Centers, SPDCs, adopted from the USA in partnership with Strathmore University. So far, it has been successfully piloted in 6 counties and in due course to be rolled out in all 47 counties in the coming financial year. As Yara, we invite you to partner with us on this very successful project in future. There are areas of collaborations between government and training institutions identified in this program. So I think we have we've touched on many opportunities that we can partner with you, including what the government is doing, the subsidized farm inputs. You have an opportunity there. You can go down there to train those beneficiaries and borrow and those who are uptaking government subsidized fertilizer. So to the academy or to the cohort, I think you have a wonderful opportunity. The story of Mr. Martin is a Kenyan story. It's a life story. It's a day-to-day story. I listened to Madam respond to the first questions from our MC, and that is our life. That is how we've been brought up, and our journey has gone. It cuts across. Maybe the young ones may not connect with the songs you played in the past, but those were our wake-up songs. Before 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, we used to sing those songs. Who will come up to sponsor again those songs? Which media houses will sponsor those songs? Because we were brought up knowing that uti wa mkongo ni ukulima. The backbone of the nation is farming. One, it sorts us out on matters of food security. Secondly, it is the biggest employer. It is the biggest employer in Kenya, agricultural sector. Third, it is an import substitution sector. The moment we lose out on farming, we will need so much dollars, we'll need a lot of dollars to bring in food to feed the people. We will stop everything. It will be declared a national disaster, a crisis. It will be an emergency. when we run out of food. So the fellows who used to sing to the people, including the first speech of the founding president when we took over, he talked about three things. He talked about the need to fight. There are three disease or fights that we had to do. Disease-free country, food security, and literacy. He never talked about money. I see most of you are chasing money. He never talked about money. He never talked, because once those three have been sorted, we believe a sensible person is ambitious. He will now desire to have to dress like some of you, dressed in designer clothes, to dress on, I've seen shoes. We were putting on very simple shoes when we woke up, including the fellow who was trekking to high school. He says there were no buses. That is true. But as civilization caught into him, started knowing butter is not good enough shoe. He needs to go for another better shoe, pay more. But the shoe is the same. What you put on and what I put on is the same. It serves the purpose. But because that Maslow hierarchy of needs are changing us to grow up. So you are putting on a t-shirt, now you want to put on a Italian shirt. All this. So these are human needs. So once the three issues, the basics, and if we give all Kenyans those three, I think everything else will sort ourselves. We empower them through education, and you've seen from our budget, I know some of you are interrogating the finance bill, and you're asking many questions. How do we educate these Kenyans if we don't raise money? And if we have a foolish nation who will take over from us, we must educate these people so that we empower them. Mandela said, education is the only equalizer that can bring the rich and the poor to sit on the same table. So education is important. So that is why government is putting a lot on education. The second issue, putting a lot on agriculture. The challenge in agriculture is organization. We need to organize the farmers, organize delivery of inputs, organize delivery of post-harvest issues so that we can assure ourselves of food. On medicine, again, you can't compromise. 3/4 of our wealth is generated by healthy people. So if we don't address health again, there will be a problem. So all these three pillars that were identified by our founding fathers remain our moving target. Once these are sorted, Kenya will shift to the next level. So I'm happy that we are making our contribution to one of the pillars. We are making our contribution to addressing some of our founding fathers' rallying call at independence. It's now 61 years since we got in, 61 or 62? 62 years, 61 years since we got our Madaraka and independence. So we shouldn't be talking about the same issues again at year 80. I want to close by telling you a story. There was this priest somewhere in Tiati. I come from Baringo. This priest went on a missionary, a Catholic priest, went on a missionary in Tiati sub-county, where you hear they are very good in banditry and cattle rustling. So I come from the Mogotio part. These people, of course, untold suffering, but they never touch missionaries and people who are supporting them with food and medicine and water. This missionary went to Tiati. Apart or in addition to his missionary work, he found they were suffering because of water in school. He put up a school called Parpelo, which does very well. In the midst of those adversities, the school does very well. Some of their students have even topped. I think one of them was top 11th in a very remote corner. He did that in 1980s. So he constructed a water tank, he built a school, and I think he left. He used to operate from Kituro Catholic. So after 20 years, he was sent back home to Italy. That was 90. He did that in 80s. So 10 years later, he was sent. That water tank was a very good resource, utility for these people of Tiati. Then in around 2000, there was an agriculturalist from Kituro working for the district of Baringo who was going around. So he went back to Tiati, and as he was doing his own agricultural activities, these old men came. Now they are old. That time, it's almost 30 years later, they came to him. This water tank had actually had cracked and could not hold water. So for 2 years, they did nothing. So they met this man called Mr. Chimjor. So they asked him, you said you are from Kituro? Yes. Do you know of a fellow called Father Joseph who used to stay come from Kituro? He used to carry some missionary work here. They said, yes, I know him. He was there. Can you go back, look for him, tell him that the water tank that he did in 1980 has cracked. And for 2 years, we've been looking for him, and we don't know where he is. Please ask him to come back and assist us to repair the water tank that he did in 1980. Do you get the joke? So, even you people here, you will want to tell us, there was that founding president called Jomo Kenyatta, who led this country from independence in 1963. And he told us of these three. Now, this thing has stopped working. Can you go and find out where he is to come and tell us how to push these three agenda? So unless you rise up and take up the responsibility, unless you wake up and believe in yourself, believe in your knowledge, believe in the initiatives, and believe in the agenda, we can never change what we are doing. We will keep waiting for that missionary who left in 1990. They are waiting for him to come and fix a water tank. And they sit there, they suffer, and they are waiting for a Muzungu who left a long time ago. You must take up responsibility. You must stand up. You must wake up and feel you're confident enough to soldier on. Because if you did that, if you don't do that, then we will be waiting for missionaries. The missionaries in Kenya today is William, is Madam Kioko there, our MC, and all these fellows. These are the missionaries of today. There are no more Muzungus coming here. You are the Muzungu of the day. You are the Muzungu of the hour. No more Muzungus will come here. And even our country, Kenya, there are no other people we are waiting to come and change our country, to give us food security, education, medicine. There are no other people. This is the cohort that will change Kenya. And we don't need 100,000 people, 1,000 people, 2,000 people, or 3 people. Just believe in yourself and start. I'm impressed and really excited by what our brother here has told us about what he's doing, how he began. And today he has made a difference. Can you make a difference in your corner? Can you make a difference in your working environment? That is the difference we want. You may not, in fact, if you go that way, you now have 4 shops supporting many people, farmers. I'm sure progressively with this kind of training, skilling and upskilling, you are gaining. Tomorrow you will employ 3-4 more people. You will increase your stocks, your shops from 4 to 8 to 10 to 20. And possibly, who knows, to the whole county and even nationally. It starts that way. It never starts from the top. It starts from small, successful steps. I was listening to Aliko Dangote. There's TikTok, and I think he was addressing some young people like those in these rooms. And he said the problem with young people, they want to start by buying a Mercedes. They want to live in Karen. They want to go on holiday in Hawaii. The first year they begin there, they graduate from school. And they forget that all these successful people, when you look at our own, like this Mzee, Comcraft, what is his name? Manu Jandaria. How old is that Mzee? 90? 92. And you can see he's still struggling. He wakes up, he attends board meetings at that age. So any wealth that we have, you have to be patient, you have to be focused, you have to be determined, keeping your eyes on the ball. Never waver, never look sideways. We must always keep our eyes. And if you don't have any destination in life, if you do not have any destination in life, then any site can be your your destination. So we must have a destination. Avoid many mistakes. This training helps you to isolate, to avoid common mistakes others have done. You are not the first ones to be engaged in MSMEs. But if you walk with eagles, you fly with eagles, you will definitely, even if you don't attain the height of the eagle, at least you will be flying high, safer crowns than many people. Many young people, they begin their lives, and I'm saying this as Minister for MSMEs. Most of our MSMEs die in the first 3 years. Their life expectancy is 3 years. If you are lucky, you cross the first year, the second year, the third year, they close down. Reason? You don't look at the whole business in totality. Secondly, you don't have mentors. You don't have people who hold your hand. You walk alone. You want to think. You read somewhere in some books in the university or in college, and you want to assume that life without the steps, the necessary steps, very important steps. So it is important to have a mentor. Attend some of this training. Don't think it's a waste of time. Don't think it is just no. Today it's the same thing we have had over and over again. No. You have to keep listening, because even if you have had the same speech, there is a fellow who will attend that event who has not been with you before, may give you one more reason to survive another year. So it's just like many other life journeys. You ensure that your business can live beyond 10 years. Once you survive for 10 years, you can survive you can survive forever. So mine are to just advise you as your seers that this country will be changed by MSMEs. Kenya is an MSME republic. And if we have at least 50% or even 5 million people graduating from micro to small, this country will never be the same again. Because the momentum those 5 million individuals will generate will be able to roll over and spill over to many sectors and impact on so many sectors, create so much wealth that the fellows in the middle income will be influenced. The middle income will increase, patronizing our hotels, our automobile industry, our oil, those engaged in any way. Imagine 5 million people joining the medium scale. It's like bringing people from London, 5 million people from London to come to Kenya and allowing them to do their business or day to day. They come with wealth, knowledge, experience. They come with a lifestyle, and that will mean a lot to support structure, support services. So our drive as MSME is to transition medium organizations to small. And from small, we now graduate them to medium size. And finally, they will graduate to big corporates, multinationals corporates. It has happened before. You are not the first ones. We have people like Akko Industries. They began with one bicycle at our sheds, Kenya Industrial Estates. Today is a multinational, partnering with South Africans and others. We have people like Mastermind, who started in Kenya Industrial Estates and rose to become a rival to BAT, a multinational. We have Nice and Lovely, which began, the owner was selling it himself, had small chili there that was so popular in all our shops. Eventually was sold to a French multinational. Again, they were incubated, they were supported, and they eventually graduated, and they left the premise, and they went and set up their own business. So it is possible. Eventually, Yara may even relocate when the stockist distributors are so strong. You might eventually say, you take over, we will be supporting you from Norway, we will be supporting you from US or Colombia. So who are those? KFA is going to be revived, and we will want to offer opportunities to MSMEs like you, who will now own a stake and also distribute their products. We'll be sourcing quality, affordable products from multinationals like Yara, Bayer, Syngenta, and the rest. We'll be looking out to people who will partner. He'll even capitalize Kenya Farmers Association. It is a premier institution that worked for Kenyan farmers before. So this academy, this training, helps a lot to drive the national agenda. So with those many remarks, in conclusion, so I want you to behave differently. Don't wait for the priest who went back to Italy in 1990, and you are seated there waiting for the tank to be repaired, and you are suffering without water. Do something. Do something. Don't just sit there and wait for the priest to come back. He may not come back. So you must do something. In conclusion, I wish to commend Yara for the value chain approach that you have taken by not just providing training and capacity building to MSMEs especially, but generally narrowing your focus to agricultural value chains. In this way, your impact will be significant and more magnified. With these many remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I now declare the 2024 Yara Leadership Academy training officially open. Thank you, and God bless you.
Okay. Yes, so I have a confession, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how to count to 10. And I'd like you guys to help me together, the guest of honor, Honorable CS. I'd like to ask Carol to join us up front. Joel, come. William, join us. I'd like us to do a nice countdown from 1 to 10 to launch our program today. Are we ready, guys? Yes, Daktari, come. Come. Yes. We can take a minute for a really nice photo as we set up our video. Well, don't they look lovely? Can you give them a hand? Awesome. I'm waiting to see it up here. Okay, let's go. 6. Count with me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's give it a big hand. Let's keep the hand going. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Awesome. Thank you very much. You may have your seats. Thank you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to a successful end to our program this morning. Thank you so much for making the time. I would like to thank our guest of honor, Honorable CS, for gracing our event. And thank you for your continued support. I'd like to thank MSEA for making the time to join us this morning. I'd also like to thank our partners with whom we have co-developed with whom we have co-developed our program. That's AGMAC and Unifiers, and Keldin and Life Skills, who will continue to provide supporting content for that. I'd like to also thank Equity Foundation for supporting our alumni, our Yara colleagues without whom this event could not have happened. Thank you very much. And of course, Radisson for hosting us. So you guys, thank you for being a good and a lovely audience. Now, we have, as you leave, I'd like to ask you, we have prepared a small package for you as you go. Please take care of it and think of us anytime you look at it. So it will be at the registration desk, so just pick your gift. Other than that, thank you for your time. Goodbye, and see you at the graduation of the second cohort. Thank you.